Welcome to a Community Partners interview where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Sean Pickard, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Mae Whalen, the founder and administrator for Let's Make Music Kingston. Let's Make Music Kingston believes that music is vital to the overall health of all individuals. They strive to provide access to the arts and the development of musical skills through the use of live music and instruments for a wide variety of clients, including people with special abilities, older adults, and children. They can provide music and entertainment to small groups, large groups, individuals, and for special occasions. Thank you for joining me today, Mae. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
That's good to hear. Now, before we get into Let's Make Music Kingston, let's hear a little bit about the Mae Whalen experience. What inspired you to establish Let's Make Music, and why work with individuals with disabilities?
Well, interestingly enough, it was kind of a bit of a labor of love. About 2017, I started working with an organization here in Kingston that was called Music Mates, who their whole basis was creating music programming with people with disabilities. And so I started in about 2017. My husband, who is the coordinator with me on Let's Make Music, has done music with people of all sorts, mainly with disabilities, since 2013. So he was also one of the musicians delivering programming for Music Mates. In 2019, the founder of that organization was leaving Kingston and taking Music Mates with her. At that point, we had established such a wonderful relationship with so many of our clients that basically we created Let's Make Music Kingston to ensure that all of the folks that we were already delivering music to and anybody else in Kingston would still have access to dedicated music, primarily for folks with disabilities. But as I said, we also do music with other types of folks as well. So we had this beautiful, smooth transition in January of 2020 that went beautifully until March. And then, of course, lots of struggles happened with the pandemic. But we've managed to persevere through and have a very thriving and wonderful experience happening now.
And it's amazing how much of an impact music can have on an individual. So let's talk about that for a little bit, Mae. When you first started up with this, what were some of the things you saw happening with an individual who just started with the program?
You know, what's so interesting is that it really doesn't matter who you are. Music impacts. It has a huge impact on everybody as an individual. What we've found, and certainly Tim could still tell some great stories, as he's the actual guy, boots on the ground guy, except for one night a week that I actually go in and coordinate the music program. And it's funny, you know, sometimes folks will say to us, well, these people are nonverbal. And they're far from nonverbal. They're just verbalize their joy in a different manner. And what we found is as soon as the music starts, everybody joins in whatever way and whatever capability they have. And just the live experience of having individuals with disabilities, and we have them, you know, all sorts. We have folks in wheelchairs, we have what people consider nonverbals, and they all have a very physical reaction to being able to participate in music.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because, I mean, you've mentioned having individuals of all abilities there, whether they're acquiring assistive devices or not. But let's talk about how you find out who goes where, who works with what instrument, who goes into what program. I see you got a number of different programs on your website there. So how do you sort people to get to the programs they require? Is there a sorting hat at Let's Make Music Kingston? How do you do that?
There really isn't a sorting hat, because actually the diversity is what makes it wonderful. And so the only kind of criteria, like our Wednesday evening group, we term that teens and adults. So that's geared towards a certain age group, kind of everybody that's 16 and up, but you can be 16 and you can be 75 in that group. Um, so, and the other groups that we work with, we go into a number of community supported activities. Like we have community living here in Kingston. We have an organization called Onguanada, and they actually bring us in and pick certain groups that they want to have the experience of music as part of their programming. So, say for our Wednesday night group that we facilitate personally, that night we just present all sorts of instruments. And then each individual does whatever they want. They pick the instrument that they want to enjoy that night. And that sometimes changes 2 or 3 times throughout the evening. Um, our music is very broadly based. So we have every genre of music that we play, and we have requests. If there are certain clients who really love a song, we'll work at learning that song so we can put it in our programming. So it's, and then we might work on things like rhythm or whatever, depending upon what everybody's skill level is or isn't, because ultimately it doesn't matter. If they're moving to the music, if they're shaking a tambourine to the music, they're making music and being a part of the group.
And that's so important, being able to express yourself regardless of what that music may or may not be. But let's talk about the programming for a second, Mae, because I see things, well, we talked about the teen and adult programming, but the songwriting program, I'm interested in how much the songwriting program has impacted people.
This is a fascinating new program that we've just kind of introduced in the last maybe less than a year. And so we have a couple of active, we have a number of clients that we work one-on-one with. Sometimes that's just due to their mobility issues. Sometimes they just work better as an individual and doing one-on-one experience. And we have, and it's actually on our website. I believe I've got it posted up there. So what Tim's been doing is actually working at songwriting. So he talks to the client, they pick a theme, they start to talk about that theme. Tim works with different sounds. Do you like this sound that goes with this? And they literally write music together. He's also been doing that in a group situation with a fairly significant number of participants. And they all contribute thoughts and ideas to what they want the song to be about, and then what they want the song to sound like. And then Tim's job is basically to facilitate, bring all of that together, and then create a body of music. And it's really impressive what beautiful stories come out of those songwriting sessions.
Okay, I have to ask, Mae. I have to ask. After hearing that story, when can we expect the album? Is it going to be singles? What's going on?
Oh, that's such a dream for us, to be honest. And we have talked about, and there are certain groups, to be completely honest, this just wouldn't work for, that might struggle. And there are just certain groups that it does work for. But there's already been talk, especially in our bigger group system, because they've done a number of songs about how do we facilitate this? How do we get this out? How do we share it with people? And that's a challenge that we're still pondering, but really hope that somewhere down the road we can create something. And like I say, the one I guess that's probably on our Facebook site right now. I'm not sure if I've managed to get it up on my up on the website yet or not, but the one that we have right now that we're actually putting out to the public is called Crunch for Lunch, I think it's called. And it's just this amazing piece of music. And we've been very lucky, very supportive of the parents who support that. I have been very encouraging about us. They want everybody to see how wonderful this wonderful piece of music that Greg and Tim have created. So we actually facilitated a video. So we now have a video that goes with this piece of music that is now up on YouTube and on social media.
That is excellent. Now, I do have to ask though, Mae, crunch for lunch, it's not about eating yogurt, is it?
It's about what a wonderful experience having lunch is. And it's so wonderfully written, and it's a joyful piece of music. Like, you just really enjoy you enjoy listening to this. It's really, really wonderful. And we definitely would love as many people as possible to be able to see that, because we think it's really a wonderful thing that's happening.
I'm gonna have to check this. I'm gonna have to check this video out. Where can I find it, Mae?
I can send a link. We do have a YouTube channel called Let's Make Music. Maybe Let's Make Music Kingston. And you can go on there, and it's posted. It's under there just as we're talking. Yeah, we've published it on our Facebook page. And it's also on YouTube under Let's Make Music Kingston.
Excellent. I'm gonna have to go check that out. Definitely.
Oh, you will. You will enjoy it. It will bring such a smile to your face.
Something at the joy of eating. Yeah, I can get behind that song. I think so.
Oh yeah. And Greg, who is really an amazing individual, who has so he is blind, and he lives with a rare condition called Conrady's syndrome, and he has scoliosis. The guy has he hears music, he plays the bells, which is fantastic. And if you watch the video, you'll see him playing the bells. He's really is a wonderful musician. And so having the opportunity to be able to showcase him has been a real joy for us. It's what a wonderful thing to be able to do.
That sounds awesome. But I want to talk about the goals for a second here, Mae. When I was on the website, I noticed that one part of the website was quite prominently dedicated to the goals of the organization. And if you don't mind, I'd like to go through that with you right here. So the first one you have, we strive to facilitate social skill development through the use of music. By using music as a platform to reduce anxiety and as a venue for expanding movement and increasing social awareness, we work to create social opportunities for people who are otherwise isolated from the community due to their complex needs. Ultimately, we work to favor integration in the community through music-centered activities. I think we've just had a great conversation about that with the video, the song, everything that Tim and Greg have done here. But what brings about goal one?
Well, we really feel strongly that music really does have a significant impact on your overall well-being. And so we have been working really hard to bring that in to all the activities that we do where we can. We have worked with groups who they organize singing carols, going and doing some carol singing on Christmas. The group that we talked about that have been doing some of the writing of the music, they do little concerts ultimately, but we don't want that to be specific in terms of a goal, because the goal is to bring music and enrich lives. So doing a community activity for the public isn't always what the goal should be, that other people see it. The goal should always be, does it make a change in a person's life? And to me, that's the greatest goal, is, have we changed this person's life by bringing music into their life, which changes how they feel? And, we've had workers tell us that they have a client that has to visit the doctor and he gets quite anxious. But what they have realized is the days that that client has music before going to the doctor, it's changed the whole experience. So music needs to be understood as, really a tool to help us bring enrichment and happiness into people's life, which then trickles down into other areas of life.
Enrichment and happiness, two very important words, I believe. Now, I have to get personal with this next one, though, May, right? Especially with this first line. We believe all individuals, regardless of ability level, should have access to music education and experience in a way that caters to their learning styles. This means that our programming is multidimensional. Verbal and visual communication is key to the success of our programs, and all materials and instruments must be accessible. Now, when I say I got to get personal on this one, May, I play around with the guitar now and then, right? And let's be honest, I'm never going to be a Juno winning artist. Producer, maybe. Artist, no. But for me, a musical instrument is almost more like a medical instrument. I'm trying to get my hands working again the way they used to. So, in a situation like this, we believe all individuals, regardless of ability level, that speaks to me. So, how do you get through an evening with someone like myself, say, who can't maintain a guitar pick for the evening when it's a group? How does goal 2 work on a day to day?
Goal 2 works simply on that if you accept, regardless of anyone's ability, the fact that they want to play an instrument, say the drums. We have an older gentleman that comes to our evening programming, and his favorite thing in the world is the drums. So we set him up with a pair of congas, and he has his, drumstick, and working with him, encouraging him to listen and hear a beat and try and beat to that is, I guess, what for us, the goal might be different than it might be for other people, or success is measured in a different way. Success might be the fact that somebody who has never picked up an instrument picks an instrument up, starts to play it, listens to the sound, understands the sound, and then sometimes, when we have a break in a song, and we encourage, okay, everybody, play to the beat now, get your tambourines going, get your drums going, get your shakers going. Just continuing to encourage them. And regardless of where anybody's individual idea of success lands, everyone's successful if they try. And so that can change. And the size of the group also changes a lot with that. With some of the one-on-one clients we have, someone with autism, he works on the xylophone. And it started out with colors. If you hit this, it makes this sound, and we can do jingle bells. It's about finding a way to be able to articulate what a sound is, and how that sound comes across is sometimes a very long process. And everybody needs to have patience. Everybody needs to understand that everybody's goal may be different, but success should always be there and should always be applauded. If you're making music, you're doing good.
That is a huge point right there. If you're making music, you're doing well. But did someone ship you my questions here, May? Because you're talking about success, and that's where I wanted to go next with success. And I think you hit it right on top there. With success is measured differently for everyone, but in this instance,
and that goes for everybody, regardless of their abilities.
It does. It does exactly. And so far today, we've talked about Greg and Tim working on the one video. We've talked about someone else that enjoys the xylophone. And there's also someone else that just loves the drums. So can you tell me another success story here, May? Don't identify anyone. No names. But let's hear about someone that came through the door asking for help. And what happened?
Well, we have this wonderful young man that we work with. And it's been amazing, even just to teach him how he can sit and strum an instrument, and learn how to strum. Sometimes Tim will hold down the chords and let the person strum so they can hear the difference in the keys. And they've moved to a number of different instruments, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the name of the one that he's done so well at. And so this guy has actually progressed through a couple of 3 different instruments where he's gaining some skill. We've sent him home with it, and we hear from his family that he sits and plays at night on these instruments. So, there is no question that as long as you kind of identify where that skill level can or cannot take somebody, that you can bring them to that with just time. It's just, and understanding that it sometimes takes a little while. You do the same thing over and over and over again, and then it clicks, and then you move to the next thing. And that's the thing, is just accepting that and, really applauding every step of the process. It's not about this big end goal. It's about all these little goals that get achieved.
All the steps along the way. That is so very important, Mae. Now, if someone wanted to become a member of Let's Make Music Kingston or volunteer with Let's Make Music Kingston, what's the process for that? How do they get a hold of someone? Is it on the website? How do they get involved?
Yeah. So if they wanted to, contact us concerning being a part of a group or setting up lessons, yes, that can be done through the website. The same with volunteers. For the most part, because we go into a number of established settings, they have their support system set up there. So unless it's a big group, which we might then, be really interested in having somebody else. We have a couple of musicians that we also, Tim does the majority of the music. We have another musician who has worked for years, worked for Music Mates, and now works for us as well to fill in any gaps that need to be filled. So, and both of these, by the way, are like working professional musicians. This isn't their only job. They have bands, they write their own music. They're very skilled professional musicians. So that's also a wonderful benefit. It's always really nice to sit back and watch when you see them performing for and working with these groups, but doing it at this high level, of expertise. They both play guitar. So and so it's really wonderful example too, and something that people can, maybe they don't want to play an instrument. Maybe they just want to sing. And they're able to really do that with top level musicians, which really help. In terms of volunteering, when we do need volunteers, there is a section on there that you could fill in to become a volunteer. And we have a couple of people that help, again, to fill in some gaps here and there. And the criteria for that, for me, would be, yes, experience to a certain degree with working with people with different disabilities. One of the largest capacities to me, one of the most important things, is empathy and caring, because it goes a long way in the hour you might spend with a group of clients. Just to be there. When I go Wednesday nights, I dance, we sing, we have people up dancing and the wheelchairs are spinning around, and it's about creating the experience.
That sounds like an awesome time, Mae. Might have to hang out for one of those.
Oh, I'm happy to have you anytime. And I will mention on our Wednesday night groups, because we have a couple of individuals that have chosen since the pandemic not to necessarily integrate with larger group situations. We also, on that Wednesday night group, we run a live stream to any of our clients that can't attend in person, but would like to attend online. So we set up and run a live link to those individuals as well, so they can continue to enjoy even if they can't come to the physical location.
Live stream Wednesdays out of Kingston. I kind of like that.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Gotta check that one out, Mae.
Anytime, let me know. I'll send you a link.
Okay. But I need to ask you this. This is a very personal question, Mae. What is the one thing you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do we stop it?
Oh, I guess that's a good question. I think accessibility continues to be an issue in many locations. We have to work really hard to make sure that the places that we're facilitating our music is completely accessible. And it's surprising how many places still aren't, which I find frustrating. Sometimes what we also find, because a lot of people come with their own workers to our activities, what we're also finding is that through absolutely no fault of their own, staffing can be an issue. Support isn't always there and available to make it easy for people to access programming when they need to take support with them. And that's really sad. When I get a call that says, we just don't have enough staff on tonight, to send our participant to your group. That makes me sad. So I feel like there's some work to be done in that area. To be honest, we're very lucky. We have a very joyful atmosphere we work in. We build it for the people and their abilities that they have to ensure that we don't have any of those issues, but we see and hear about those issues. And I think for me, those are kind of the two things. Is we still have a long way to go to put the support systems in and make sure that we are adequately compensating our support staff so that that program can continue to build.
I look forward to hearing more about that program too, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Now, we're getting into summer. So there's lots of things going on, right? We get Rib Fest, a lot of organizations with run, walk, and rolls, things of that nature. Are we going to see Let's Make Music Kingston at any of these events? Well, you have a booth going on this summer.
We don't really, this is going to sound a little crazy right now, but we're at a place where we don't, our staff, so many of our clients come to us. We have become fairly well known in the Kingston community and what we do. So our programs are pretty full right now. And the next step would be to even get larger, which would mean, hiring a bunch of new staff and then really pushing to try and, even make it a bigger thing than what it is. Not sure right now that I'm kind of in a place where I'm ready to do that. We feel really positive about the experience that we are now able to deliver and be able to do that really, really well. And so I think there would be some thought process to go ahead to get to a place where that kind of stuff would be required to move us forward.
So the next step is getting bigger. Okay. I'm looking forward to that one, Mae.
It could get bigger. It's always an option, of course.
Always an option.
But there's lots of, admin back admin that needs to happen to make that happen. Lots of work that needs to go in to create a business, get it solid, and then to make that next step if you want to make it larger. So, we'll just see how time progresses, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we are running out of time here, Mae. So if people are looking for more information, how can they get a hold of you? What's the website, 1-800 number? How can people reach out?
People can always reach out, first and foremost, by the website, which is letsmakemusic.ca. So on there is all of our contact information. Let me just double check. Yes, all of our contact information is on there. And so they can reach out, and my phone number's on there. My email is on there, may@letsmakemusic.ca. And as I said, we have a Facebook page that people can send messages through that as well. My phone number's on that, my email is on that, and our website's on that. So, those are probably the two easiest ways to reach out to us at any time.
All right. Would you care to say goodbye to the folks at home, Mae? Thank you very much for coming out today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and just allowing us to talk about our labor of love. And that's certainly what Let's Make Music is for us.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Mae Whalen from Let's Make Music Kingston. I'm Sean Pickard. That's all the time we have for now, folks. Until next time, bye for now.